You have been displaced. The blue tiles of Babylon and the stone castles of Europe are gone. You open your eyes, and the first thing you see is nothing. There are no walls. There are no roofs. There is only the horizon. You are standing in the middle of the great Eurasian Steppe, the year 440 A.D. This is not a city. This is a sea of grass. Welcome to the world of the Huns. The first-century shock is the wind. In the 21st century, you have buildings to block the air. In the world of the Huns, the wind is a constant, physical presence. It is cold, it is dry, and it smells of two things: crushed grass and horse sweat. If the Project Nile taught you the way to the sun, Project Scourge will teach you the way to the wind. In this world, if you cannot stand against a storm, you will be buried by it.
The biological shock. The horseman's anatomy.
In the simulation, your modern body is a liability. Your legs are built for walking on flat concrete. The Huns are built for the horse. From the age of 3, their legs are curved around the back of a stallion. They do not walk. They ride. If you try to keep up with them on foot, you will be dead within a day. Your first mission is survival through adaptation. Your diet changes instantly. There is no bread. There is no beer. You are eating protein and fat. The Huns survive on meat and fermented mare's milk, kumis. The milk is sour, alcoholic, and full of bacteria that your modern stomach has never seen. In the first week, your digestive system will go into a state of emergency. But there's a famous sleeper detail you must know: the meat. You see a Hun warrior pull a piece of raw meat from under his saddle. It is flat, salty, and warm. In the 21st century, you think this is cooking. In the 5th century, this is logistics. The pressure of the rider and the salt of the horse's sweat tenderize the meat. It is a biological energy bar for a war machine that never stops. To survive, you must eat the horse sweat meat or you will starve. There is no room for a pampered modern appetite in the camp of Attila.
The sensory overload. The smell of the camp.
The Hunnic camp is a city made of leather and wood. It is mobile. Thousands of felt tents, yurts, are arranged in a massive circle. The smell is overwhelming. It is a mix of wet wool, burning dung used for fire, and the sharp odor of thousands of horses. In the 21st century, silence is a luxury. In the Hunnic camp, silence is a sign of death. There is a constant sound: the rhythmic thumping of drums, the sharpening of iron, and the screaming of horses. You are in a society that is 100% military. Every man is a soldier. Every woman is a logistics expert. Every child is a scout. You are a sleeper, and you have just entered the most efficient kill engine of the ancient world.
The social trap. The stranger in the tribe.
You walk toward the center of the camp. You see a man sitting on a simple wooden stool. He is not wearing gold. He is not wearing silk. He is wearing a plain wool tunic and iron scales. This is Attila. He does not look like a king from your movies. He looks like a wolf in a pack of dogs. In Hunnic society, there is no middle class. You're either a warrior or a slave. Because you are a stranger with soft hands and strange clothes, the Huns look at you with hunger. They see a slave. If you want to survive the first hour, you must show utility. You cannot speak their language, a mix of Turkic and Gothic, but you understand physics. You find a group of weapon makers struggling with a composite bow. This bow is the highest technology of the 5th century. It is made of layers of wood, bone, and sinew. It is a spring that can fire an arrow through Roman armor at 200 meters. You take a piece of charcoal. You show them the recurve principle. You show them how to increase the tension using a simple mathematical curve. In the 21st century, this is basic engineering. In 440 AD, this is a message from a war god. You have just bought your freedom. You are no longer a slave. You are the master of the bow.
The psychological toll. The horizon fever.
At night, you sit by a dung fire. You look at the stars. The sky is massive. Without city lights, the Milky Way looks like a solid road. But you feel a terrifying loneliness. In Egypt or Babylon, you had walls. You had a sense of place. In the world of the Huns, there is no place. You're always moving. The world is a liquid. This creates a psychological condition we call horizon fever. You start to feel that if you stop moving, the world will end. You realize why the Huns are so dangerous. They do not own the land. They own the movement. You are a man of the future, but you are learning the oldest lesson of the steppe. Possessions are a burden. Speed is life. Power is the distance you can travel in a single day. You are a sleeper, and you are starting to forget the sound of a closing door. You are becoming a part of the wind. As the sun sets over the endless grass, you realize that your position in the camp has changed. You are no longer just a stranger. You are the master of the bow. But in the year 441 AD, technical skill is only half of the survival equation. The other half is politics. A massive group of riders arrives from the south. They are not Huns. They are Romans, dressed in heavy silks and wearing gold jewelry that shines too brightly in the dust. They have come to negotiate the tribute, the gold that Rome pays to Attila to stay alive. You stand behind Attila's stool, watching the collision of two worlds. The Romans look at the Huns with disgust, calling them barbarians. The Huns look at the Romans with hunger, seeing them as sheep. You use your 21st century economic protocol to analyze the situation. You see that the Roman economy is failing, and Attila is using inflation as a weapon. You whisper to Attila's translator. You suggest not asking for a fixed amount of gold, but for a percentage of the harvest and the return of deserters. By introducing the concept of compound interest and refugee management, you turn a simple robbery into a strategic economic collapse of the Roman Empire. Attila watches the Roman ambassador, Priscus, turn pale as you explain the new terms. You just use modern financial logic to bleed the greatest empire in history white. Without firing a single arrow, the negotiation ends, and the camp prepares for the great march toward the Danube River. This is where your logistics of terror protocol begins. In the 21st century, war is about missiles and satellites. In 441 AD, war is about calories and fear. You show the Hunnic scouts how to use psychological warfare techniques. You tell them to build 10 times more fires than they need at night. So the Roman spies think the army is 10 times larger. You show them how to use smoke signals to communicate across the plains with binary logic. Long smoke for enemy found. Short smoke for move west. While the army moves, you focus on the medicine of the steppe. The Huns are brave, but they die from simple infections. You know about germ theory and the power of antibiotics. You do not have pills, but you have the forest. You show the women how to find willow bark to stop the pain and how to use honey and garlic to stop the rotting of wounds. You introduce the maggot therapy protocol. using specific fly larvae to eat the dead flesh of a soldier's leg, saving him from gangrene. To the Huns, you're performing a holy necromancy. You are keeping the warriors alive who should be dead. You have created the first mobile surgical unit in the history of a steppe. The warriors now believe they are truly immortal because the Sage of the Wind can pull them back from the gates of the underworld. As the army reaches the Roman border, you see the first stone cities. To the Huns, these are stone cages. To you, they are targets. You look at the walls of Sirmium and Nisus. The Huns want to just charge the gates. You stop them. You use your structural engineering knowledge. You show them how to build a torsion catapult, a machine that uses the energy of twisted ropes to throw 50-kilogram stones. You use your 21st century understanding of trajectory and ballistics. You calculate the weak point of the stone wall, the corner where the weight of the tower meets the curtain wall. When the first stone hits the Roman wall, the vibration is felt for miles. The Romans, who thought they were safe behind their stones, feel a new kind of terror. They realize that the barbarians now have the science of the future. You are watching the end of the static defense era. You are the architect of a new, mobile, and scientific way of destruction. But as the city falls and the fires start, you feel the sleeper's guilt. You see the libraries burning. You see the art of the ancient world being trampled by horse hooves. You realize that to save your own life, you have become the Scourge of God. You are the one who is providing the brain for the monster. You sit on your horse, watching the smoke rise into the sky, and you realize that history is not just a book you read. It is a crime you participate in. The march continues deeper into Europe. The weather turns cold, and the grass disappears. This is the resource crisis. The horses are hungry. The men are starting to talk about turning back. Attila looks to you. You use your modern agricultural knowledge. You show the Huns how to silo the grain they took from the Roman cities. You show them how to make pemmican, a mix of dried meat, fat, and berries that can feed a warrior for a week in a small bag. You are teaching a nomadic people how to have a strategic reserve. Because of you, the Hunnic army does not have to stop for winter. You have broken the rules of the seasons. You are leading a winter campaign, something that was thought to be impossible. The Romans are sleeping in their warm houses, thinking the war is over until spring. They do not know that the wind of Attila is moving across the frozen rivers. You have given the Huns the ultimate advantage, the power to ignore the environment, but you feel your 21st century soul shrinking. You are becoming as hard as the iron in your hand. You realize that out here, on the edge of the world, there is no right or wrong. There's only the distance between you and the enemy. You are the sleeper, and you have finally woken up to the reality of the predator.
The Balkan Blitzkrieg. Breaking the Iron Gates.
The year is 447 A.D. You have been moving with the Hunnic horde for 7 years. The Sea of Grass is now behind you, and the rich lands of the Byzantine Empire are in front of you. This is the Balkan Blitzkrieg. In the 21st century, you know about rapid tank warfare. In 447 A.D., you're seeing the original version. 100,000 horsemen moving 50 miles a day, destroying everything in their path before the news of their arrival even reaches the next city. You are standing on the banks of the Danube River. The Byzantine generals think the river is a wall. They think the winter will stop the Huns. You use your hydraulic engineering protocol. You show Attila's builders how to create a floating bridge. using empty wine barrels and thick wooden planks. You use your 21st century understanding of buoyancy and tension. While the Romans are sleeping, the Hunnic army crosses a river in total silence. By sunrise, the invincible frontier of the empire has disappeared. You have turned a geographical barrier into a highway for destruction. You are the one who opened the gates of Europe to the wolf.
The Siege of Nisus. Psychological engineering.
The army reaches the city of Nisus. The walls are high, and the Roman soldiers are brave. Usually, the Huns would avoid a siege because they are horsemen, not builders. But you change the rules of the game. You use your acoustic and structural protocol. You do not just build ladders. You show the Huns how to build a battering ram on wheels with a protective iron roof. You use your knowledge of physics and momentum. But the real sleeper trick is the sound warfare. You show the Huns how to use large, hollow wooden tubes to create a low-frequency vibration, a human-powered subwoofer. At night, the sound of 5,000 men beating these tubes create a vibration that the Romans can feel in their bones. They cannot sleep. They start to hallucinate. They think the earth itself is screaming at them. In the 21st century, we call this non-lethal psychological suppression. By the time the Huns charge the walls, the Roman defenders are too exhausted to hold their swords. Nisus falls not because of the ram, but because you broke the minds of the men inside. You are watching the clean, cold efficiency of a 21st century mind destroying an ancient defense.
The gold standard. Bleeding the Byzantine soul.
After the fall of the Balkans, the Byzantine emperor, Theodosius II, is desperate. He wants peace at any cost. You sit in Attila's tent during the negotiation. The Romans offer gold, tons of it, but you look at the Roman coins. You use your macroeconomic analysis protocol. You realize that by taking too much gold too fast, you'll destroy the Roman economy, making the gold worthless in the future. You whisper a new strategy to Attila, the talent tax. Instead of just gold, you demand human capital. You demand the best architects, the best doctors, and the best metalworkers of the empire. You are creating a brain drain 1,500 years before the term exists. You are taking the software of the Roman Empire and installing it into the hardware of the Hunnic horde. Because of you, the Hunnic camp starts to look like a mobile laboratory. You see Roman engineers building Hunnic roads. You see Greek doctors teaching Hunnic women. You have turned the Huns from a group of raiders into a mobile superpower. You are the one who is making Attila's empire permanent.
The secret police. Information control.
As the empire grows, Attila faces a new problem: betrayal. His generals are getting rich, and the Romans are sending spies with bags of gold to buy their loyalty. You decide to introduce the internal security protocol. You do not use torture, you use data tracking. You create a system of signet rings and coded tablets. You show Attila how to monitor the wealth of his generals. You introduce the concept of the double agent. You find a captured Roman spy and, instead of killing him, you use your psychological profiling to turn him. You give him false information to take back to Constantinople. You are teaching the Huns how to fight a war of shadows. To the warriors, this is magic. They think you can hear the whispers of the wind. To you, it is just basic intelligence management. You have created the world's first secret police in the middle of a nomadic camp. You are the ear of Attila, and no one in the empire is safe from your 21st century gaze.
The logistics of the West. The multi-ethnic machine.
The year is 451 AD. You are no longer on the open grass of the East. You are deep in the forests of Germany and Gaul. Attila is no longer just leading Huns. He is the CEO of a global corporation of destruction. Under his banner, there are Gepids, Ostrogoths, Rugians, and Franks. In the 21st century, you know that managing a multicultural organization is a nightmare. In 451 AD, if the different tribes don't eat at the same time, they start killing each other. This is where your standardization protocol becomes the backbone of the invasion. You see that the Goths use one type of wagon, the Franks another, and the Huns none at all. This makes the army slow. You introduce a standardized wagon wheel. You show the carpenters how to use a simple master template so that every wheel is the same size. If one breaks, you can take a wheel from another wagon and keep moving. You also introduce a standardized ration system. Instead of everyone hunting for their own food, you create central kitchens that produce hard, dry biscuits and salted meat in bulk. You are teaching a barbarian horde the secret of industrial logistics. Because of you, Attila's army moves through the Rhine River like a modern tank division. You destroy the city of Metz in a single day because your supply train never stopped for a break. You are the one who turned a group of tribes into a synchronized machine of war. But as you watch the smoke rise from the ruins of Gaul, you feel the sleeper's shadow. You realize that by making the army efficient, you have taken away the last chance for the local people to survive. You are the architect of a hunger that has no end.
The chessboard of dust. Tactics of the Catalonian plains.
The march stops in a massive field in Gaul, known as the Catalonian Plains. This is the moment you have been waiting for, and the moment you have been fearing. Across the field is the Roman general Aetius. He is the only man in the world who understands Attila's brain. He has gathered his own League of Nations, Romans, Visigoths, and Alans. In your history books, this is called the last great battle of the West. You stand on a small hill next to Attila, looking through a lens you made from polished crystal, a primitive telescope. You use your modern tactical doctrine to analyze the battlefield. You don't see soldiers, you see assets and vectors. The Romans have the high ground, a small ridge that overlooks the field. Attila wants to charge it immediately. You stop him. You use your knowledge of elastic defense. You show the Hunnic-like cavalry how to use the crescent formation, a tactic where the center of your line slowly pulls back, drawing the enemy in, while the two horns of the army move around to the sides. At 2 p.m., the battle begins. The sound is a physical weight. It is the sound of 300,000 swords hitting 300,000 shields. The dust is so thick that the sun disappears. You watch the Visigoth king, Theodoric, die in the chaos. But the Romans are not breaking. This is a battle of sleeper logic against classical discipline. You use your signal mirror protocol to send a message to the hidden Ostrogoth reserves. You tell them to wait until the Visigoth cavalry is exhausted, then hit them from the blind side. When the strike happens, the Roman coalition starts to buckle. It is not a victory of strength. It is a victory of timing. You have used 21st century real-time management to win a 5th century nightmare. The field turns into a river of blood. You have changed the outcome of the greatest stalemate in history.
The stalemate of shadows. The strategic withdrawal.
By the evening, the battle stops. Neither side is truly destroyed, but both sides are broken. Attila is back in his camp, surrounded by a circle of wagons. He is ready to die. He has built a massive funeral pyre made of wooden saddles. He tells you, if the Romans attack tomorrow, I will burn myself so they cannot take my body. In the 21st century, we call this total nihilism. But you, the sleeper, see the bigger picture. You use your balance of power protocol. You look at the Roman camp. You realize that Aetius is not attacking. Why? Because Aetius knows that if Attila dies today, the Visigoths will become the new masters of Europe. Aetius needs Attila to stay alive, so that Rome can stay relevant. You go to Attila's tent. You don't talk about courage. You talk about geopolitics. You tell him that Aetius is letting him go. You show him how to perform a silent retreat under the cover of a chemical smokescreen, using damp straw and specific minerals you found in the Gallic soil to create a thick white fog. While the Romans watch the fog, the Hunnic army disappears into the night. You have turned potential suicide into a strategic withdrawal. You have saved the Hunnic Empire for another year. But as you ride away from the Catalonian plains, you look back at the thousands of dead men left in the mud. You realize that you and Aetius are playing a game of chess with human lives. You are the sleeper, and he is the last Roman, and the two of you have decided that the war must continue. You are not a hero. You are a technician of survival. You have survived the greatest battle of the age, but your soul feels as empty as the field you left behind.
The plague at the gates. The bluff of Holy Rome.
The year is 452 A.D. The march has turned south into the heart of Italy. You are standing on the banks of the river, watching the smoke of Aquileia and Milan rise into the summer sky. The people of Italy are fleeing to the swamps of the lagoons, building small wooden huts on the mud. You realize you are watching the birth of Venice, a city born from the sheer terror of the Huns. But while the world sees Attila as a god of war, you, the sleeper, see the biological reality. The Italian summer is not a friend to the horsemen of the north. The air is heavy with the smell of stagnant water and rotting grain. Your epidemiological protocol is flashing red. The army is dying, not from Roman swords, but from malaria and dysentery. A small group of men in white and gold robes approaches the camp. At the center is Pope Leo I. In your 21st century history books, this is a miracle. They say the Pope spoke words of God, and the scourge turned away. You are inside the tent, standing next to Attila's throne. You use your medical intelligence protocol to guide the conversation. You do not talk about heaven or hell. You talk about the black fever that is eating the Hunnic warriors from the inside. You whisper to Attila, if you enter Rome, you enter a tomb. The city is a trap of disease. Take the gold, take the glory, and leave before the army becomes a ghost. When the Pope speaks, you act as the shadow translator. You make his words sound like a divine warning that matches your biological data. Attila, the man who never feared an army, fears the invisible enemy you described. He accepts the tribute and turns the horses north. You have saved Rome, not for the Pope, but for the survival of the Hunnic DNA. You are a 21st century doctor playing the role of a 5th century prophet, and the history books will never know the truth.
The Crimson Wedding. A silent exit from history.
The year is 453 AD. The army is back at the Danube, in the great Hungarian plain. Attila is celebrating his marriage to a beautiful young woman named Ildiko. The camp is a chaos of music, wine, and raw meat. The sound of the drums is a constant heartbeat in the night. But you see the clinical decline of the king. Attila is drinking more than ever. His eyes are yellow with jaundice. In the 21st century, you know the diagnosis: esophageal varices caused by a failing liver and extreme stress of ruling 1,000,000 angry warriors. You are in the room next to the royal bedchamber. The night is silent after the feast. Then you hear a sound, not a scream, but a wet, choking gurgle. You rush into the room. Attila is lying on his back, his face a mask of blood. He has had a massive internal hemorrhage. He is drowning in his own blood. Ildiko is sitting in the corner, paralyzed with shock. You have your sleeper's medical kit in your mind. You know exactly how to stop the bleeding. You could save him. You could give the Scourge of God another 10 years of life. But you stop. You use your historical prime directive. You realize that if Attila lives, he will invade Constantinople. He will burn the libraries of the East. He will delete the future you belong to. You watch the life leave his eyes. You are the only person who witnessed the natural, messy death of a legend. When the guards find him in the morning, they will think it was conspiracy or miracle. You are the only one who knows it was just a broken body that could no longer carry the weight of an empire. You have allowed the scourge a break, so that the world could move toward the next chapter.
The River of Three Coffins. The Titanium Pulse.
The morning of the Huns is a sensory nightmare. The warriors cut their faces so they can cry with blood. They decide to bury the king in a place where no Roman or thief will ever find him. You are the engineer of the river diversion protocol. You show them how to build a massive dam to move the flow of the river Tissa. In the dry riverbed, you build a vault. You see the three coffins: gold for his wealth, silver for his purity, and iron for his strength. This is your final act as the sleeper. Inside the iron coffin, hidden under Attila's left hand, you place a titanium plate. It is a material that will not rust or decay for 10,000 years. On the plate, you have engraved a set of GPS coordinates and a binary archive of 21st century history. You have written, "I was the sage of the wind. I was the brain of the wolf." If you find this, remember that the future is built on the silence of the past. You seal the vault. The dam is broken, and the river rushes back over the grave, erasing the location forever. The workers who build it are killed, but they spare you because they think you are a spirit of the steppe. The simulation of Project Scourge begins to dissolve into blue pixels. The smell of the horse sweat and the sound of the drums turn into the hum of your computer and the smell of your room in 2026. You open your eyes. You are sitting in your chair. Your heart is beating with the rhythm of the Hunnic drums. You immediately go to your computer and search for Attila's grave. You see a news alert from today, March 31st, 2026. Archaeologists in Hungary detect a non-terrestrial metal signature deep under the Tissa riverbed. Your heart stops. The titanium plate you left 1,500 years ago is still there. Your past self is calling to your future self. You realize that you didn't just study history. You planted a seed in it. The sleeper is awake, but the secret of the river is yours to keep. You are Sleeper the historian, and you have finally understood that the greatest treasure is not gold or silver, but the knowledge that you were there when the world changed.